Trust and believe, guys. The reason why this took me over 2 weeks now to upload, film, and share with you guys is because reading this book felt like I took the red pill, I tried ayahuasca, and went to a spiritual retreat all in one. This is truly the first book I've read in my life where I felt myself changing chapter by chapter, page by page. And now that it's done, now that I've finished this book, I just can look at the world and look at myself in a whole new light, in a brand new light, and it's just so refreshing, and I'm just at peace, and a peace that I've never felt prior to reading this book, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys today. Hi guys, it's your girl Savvy C. Welcome to another episode of Cover to Cover, a weekly video series which is about all things books. And today I'm talking about Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. I heard about this book through one of my favorite YouTubers, Damon Dominique. He has his own channel now, but when I was introduced to him, he was part of a channel with Joanne Franco called Shut Up and Go, and they do traveling around the world regardless of how much is in your bank account. I really looked up to that and really loved it, and it's really, fantasy for your girl going to Paris. And so he talked about this book really briefly, like 15-20 seconds max. But just hearing him talk about this book, it really just piqued my interest, and I kind of bookmarked it for, the month of July, even though when this uploads, it is probably going to be August. Forgive me. But July is all about self-help, and say it with me, personal growth. And I thought this book would really fall into that category well and be something that I could share and read and talk about with you guys. And oh my gosh, it did that and then some. This book is really one of one. Calling it self-help or spirituality is really just a generalization. It's really just a must read for everyone so that we all can build a new earth together. In his own words, Eckhart, the first page on this book is as follows. This is his own words of describing himself. He said, Eckhart Tolle is a contemporary spiritual teacher who is not aligned with any particular religion or tradition. In his writing and seminars, he conveys a simple yet profound message with the timeless and uncomplicated clarity of the ancient spiritual masters. There is a way out of suffering and into peace. Tolle travels extensively, taking his teachings throughout the world. So when I first read that, it's literally the first page, I was like, hold up, you telling me this man vibes with religion and spirituality, was really rock with it? I was like, So I was kind of going in a little hesitant, and I'm so glad I kept going, I kept reading. This book is 309 pages, 10 chapters, and like I said earlier, chapter after chapter, page after page, I was just taken aback by just how simply profound the words in this book are and the lessons of this book. At the core of this book and what the main overall purpose and main message is explaining one's ego and how the ego is the root of human pain, suffering, doubt, fear, anxiety, illness, etc. How one's ego can really set one back and really just cause unnecessary stress and pain and complications on oneself. And so I wrote this book up into thirds, and I recommend you do the same. It's 300 pages, like I said. The first 1/3 of it, so the first 100 pages or so, break down the ego. So it just talks about how it's built, how, our childhoods, our personalities, experiences, our genetic makeup, our ethnicity, nationality, whatever else that builds up our ego and that creates our ego. Then it talks about in the second third of how that manifests itself in your life. So it talks about how, the ego really drives you and how it can, dictate your decisions, your thoughts, who you surround yourself with, who you look up to, your pain, who you idolize, etc. And then the third part breaks down how you can now know you have an ego, dismantle it by knowing about it, and thus start building a new earth for everyone. And oh my gosh, again, profoundly simple of just how he breaks down of just everyone has an ego. Because going into this, and when I hear the term ego prior to reading this book, I think, Beyonce and Antoine from Ratatouille, of how, he doesn't swallow because, he gotta stay a skinny legend. Or you just think of like super overtly narcissistic people that maybe you grew up with or just you see in the media. But it's not that at all, and he says that, each and every one of us has an ego, and that's okay, that's just how we've been conditioned and groomed in society. But when we acknowledge that we have an ego, then we're aware of it, and once we're aware of it, we can be awakened from it, and thus really take in the world around us. We can be in the world and not of it. And just that idea and that concept to me was just really broken down and really just explained to me and just made so many things clear. This book answered so many questions that I had about myself, about, deciding my career path, deciding who am I really, who is Savannah really, who is Savvy C really. This book answers all of that. And two, I love how it really completed, circles, really answered a lot of questions, really completed a lot of common sayings or really trendy hashtags, or like on Instagram or Twitter or whatever else, you'll see it's really trendy now to post all these self-help things, but they're all very temporary. They're all really like slap a band-aid on, you stressed, girl, get you some wine, or go to the gym, or get a face mask, take a bath. And there's just all these very band-aid things on something so big as your ego being bruised, as just your feelings being hurt, etc. And this book answers all of that. He breaks it down so simply. And two, which I really enjoyed, and now looking back, as I went into being skeptical about him not being particularly aligned or rooted in a religion or a spirituality, he is able to take teachings from Jesus, from Buddha, from monks, from Zen, and really apply those to his chapters, to his words, and show it in a different light. So like he mentions, Bible verses or just like different anecdotes that are very famous that I've known my whole life, but really just gives me a brand new perspective and outlook on it. Just like, oh, that's what Jesus meant when he said that, or that's what this saying means, or that's what that timeless story really means. And I think that was a great way of just illustrating and illuminating to readers of just, we've been just fed one way of thinking, one way of doing for so long, and that's why the world is so crazy right now. And I really recommend this book. This is a universal book that I'd give 5 stars to easily, because it really helps, especially now during this global pandemic. We are starting to see how just this world, and I'm in America right now in the States, and just this country that we're built on, these systems that this nation was built on, are terrible. They're really crumbling. They have no real foundation. And with that, we are starting to see that there needs to be such a change, and that change is because we're built on such an egotistical world, built on such a consumer-based society, built on capitalism, built on greed, built on you have to earn your right in the world by doing. You can't just be. And this book just explains that and really breaks that down to us, and just eliminates that fact of just like, you don't have to do to earn your right as a human being. You can just be. You're a human being, not a human doing. And just such a concept like that was just so, again, simple, but yet so profound to me, because, I'm, again, just fed all these things of like, you have to do this by this age, or do that, or if you're not, in the beginning of quarantine, it was all like, if you don't have a new skill by the time you get out of this, you don't have a online business and LLC behind your name, etc., then you just lack discipline because you have nothing but time. And it's just like, that's not only is that not true, that's never going to be enough, because you can do all these things. You can have the business, have the cars, have the 8-figure nigga, all this stuff, and it's still not going to be enough, because you're still just going to want more. It's still just a hamster wheel of life. And when you realize that you can just be yourself and however you are and show up in the world, that is more than enough, because that's what God created you to be. There's just this peace that comes over you, and just this acceptance of the world, and just living in the present moment, not being depressed thinking about the past, not being anxious looking at the future, just being present in the here and now, and just enjoying the moment that you're in, enjoying the life that you're in. It's incredible. It was such a great realization for me, and hopefully for you if you read this book or have read this book. Again, recommend this to everyone. I believe Pastor Mike's Relationship Goals and School of Life, Why You'll Marry the Wrong Person were my previous universal recommendations, and this one definitely trumps those two. You know, push those aside, forget about those, pick up A New Earth, my friends. Really just have it and go in with just a open mindset and be ready to be challenged on everything you know. And I think that's the toughest thing. That'll probably be the biggest warning I'd give about this book. Just know that going in, you're going to have to unlearn a lot of stuff. You're going to have to unpack a lot of stuff. Around like chapter 4, chapter 5, I just had like the... Hey guys, camera died. Present day me, editing this video now. I look back at all my videos before I edit them, before I post them, and there's a few things that I'm like, oh, I wish I had mentioned that, or wish I explained that more, and that happened a lot during this video. So with that in mind, I thought to just make a blog post about this book. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description box below, and if you're watching this on IGTV, it'll be in my bio. The blog post will just further explain and mention more lessons and big takeaways from this book if you're interested. So be sure to check that out and keep on watching. My camera died, so sorry. As I was saying, throughout this book, mid chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, I was starting to have just really great revelations of my life and just flashbacks of my life, and thinking about all these times where I did things, said things, reacted to things, whatever, and it was just my ego doing that, and it was just my ego being bruised, my ego being hurt, and thus reacting out of that hurt, out of that pain. And again, just wow, realization. And it's nice too because you give yourself grace by knowing that, oh, you know, that was just my ego, not really me. But it's also kind of frustrating in the same sense because you're like, dang, I wish I knew this earlier, you know, wish we had this knowledge earlier. But since 2006, this book has been out, so it's been, quick math, 14 years. And, you know, it's still reaching people to this day, reached me recently. So the information's out there, the knowledge is out there, we just have to be aware to it and knowledgeable about it. And now that you have this knowledge, you can be aware and thus awaken, my darling, okay? Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you too just for being patient with me and having grace with me. You know, this late upload. I still have one more book, a self-help book for the month of July, so stay tuned for that one, and then I'll get everything going for August, and I'll announce August theme in the coming days, so look out for that. As always, I'm Cindy Love. Mwah! To wherever you are in the world where you're watching this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!